Okay, the first thing we're going to do is adhere the material down to the bed. And the way we do this is put blue tape, painter's tape, on the board. And then we're going to put blue tape on the bed. I've marked the bed with pencil marks so that the tape on the board and on the bed are aligned. That way we make sure that the glue is not overlapping and getting on the board or on the material. And that way, when the tape comes off, we'll leave a clean board. Right. Now, next step is to put the glue on both using a medium super glue. And again, I have marks on both boards. There we go. Get that underneath the bit. Next thing is put this ore mask on. So I'm just going to slide this to the end. Get the measurement. Cut it. And this is the hard part, putting this on. And trying to get it with no bubbles on the inside. And I'm going to cut another piece and put it on the top section. All right, first thing we're going to cut are the numbers. And for that, I use a very sharp point. All right. I'm going to not home the machine, put it in the middle so I can change the bit. Okay. And I just put a little cloth underneath it so it doesn't fall down. Now what's important is that we zero the height. Just a quick little snug. You want to make sure it's the correct distance off the bed. The way we do that is we use this probe. And if I touch this to make sure the light's on, okay. Now, I'm going to jog this down a little bit before I start the probe. Now, probe, lift this up to make sure that touches. Okay. And start probe. Probe will go down, touch, come back up, and come down again. And that's the Z axis. Get that out of the way. Okay, we're on the software program. This is the pattern for the numbers and the program I use to position the 0 point. Okay. Now I'm going to come back over here so I can pop this back in again. All right. A couple things I have to check. Make sure first off that we've got the right speed on my router. So it's set at 3.5 here. That's the RPM of the spindle. And make sure we're set at the 0 point. We have the program loaded. And we're going to start the program. Okay, job ended. So now we're going to move the spindle out of the way. Okay. The reason we vacuum the numbers out is because there's a little debris on the inside. Now, next stage is to paint those numbers. And the reason I paint those numbers here before I cut the marbles is so that when I pull off the mask, they'll be nice and sharp. And it's much easier to paint them when they're all on the board like this. So, we'll scrap a piece of wood or plastic. And don't have to be too careful. We do want to get into all the crevices. I was doing these by hand one at a time by injecting them with a syringe, and it took extremely long time. So, trying to cut my time down, and I found this is the best way for one area of cutting it down. This is a blue paint going on, but it's a very dark blue, so it comes out almost as black and numbers show up nicely. I do have black paint, but the reason I'm using blue right now is because I want to use it up. And this mask is an amazing piece of material because once you peel it off, you get a nice sharp line. Of course, you cannot use painter's tape for this. Because the cutter would cut it up completely. This is made specially for masking CNC machines. I want to make sure I get it all inside there. And one more thing I do is try to wipe off the excess. And as you see they come out nice and sharp. I don't want too much paint on the ore mask, just because when I'm cutting the marbles, I don't want any problems with the paint getting in them. Okay, so I'm finished the numbers, and I have to do my wash up here. And what we're going to do is let this sit for about a half an hour, let it dry, and then we'll come back and we will do the marbles next. Don't know how well this is coming through, but this is the software program I use to take from my design over to the manufacturing part. So in this top panel here, this is what we just cut with the numbers. And then the next one I'm going to load up is the marbles. So I'm going to load the file. And this is the 4-panel for marbles. Double click on that, and this is going to be the marbles. So this is the marbles path that the cutter is going to take. And you can watch it as it goes around. So next thing I have to do is change bits and then run this program. Okay, change the bit to the marble, which is a 5/8 diameter. And we've positioned it at 0, 0, 0 again. And now we're going to start cutting those. I'm going to put my headphones on and get started. So that completes the marble cutting. Next will be the magnet, and then we will do the profile and radii. Okay, loaded the program for the dealer magnet and changed the cutter to 1/4 inch diameter cutter. It only has to cut 4 small slots. Okay, now I need to clean the machine a little bit and then put the cutter on to do the profile cut, and we'll be back. All right, I've changed the bit to 3/8 diameter to cut the profiles out, and then I've got the speed set to where it belongs, and I've loaded the program. So now we're going to run this. This is takes the longest, and it is quite messy. So I'm going to show it for a little bit, and then I'll pause it and start the video near the end again. Okay, so that's the profile cutout. As you can see, it's gone right down into the bed, but just barely, so that's good. So I'll be able to remove these. Now the side portions here can be removed completely, but I still need to, as you see there, to lift up. But I'm going to leave them in there now. I'm going to do the radius cut, and then I'll remove them. Okay, as you see, it's quite dirty from all the little bits. I vacuumed from time to time while it was in process, but I'm going to do a stop now for a second, do a bit of a cleanup, and then we'll come back. Okay, just to show you some of the motion of the CNC machine. This is the last cut we've done. So now I'm going to send it back to a parking spot. And the parking spot will go back to the center of the machine. I like putting it there so that I can change bits and also get a Z setting. All right, I reset my cutter for the radius over here. It's set at the 0 point, which I always keep at the bottom corner here for all the programs I run. This last one will do the radius on the inner and outer of the plates. So I'm going to put my headset on, double check everything. 0 point set, rotors on, 12,000 RPM, and we're good to cut. Program set, and we'll do a start. Okay, that completes the process on the CNC machine. So we can pull this off a little bit so you see what's going on. So it's finished doing all the radius on the thing. We'll come back, show that in a second. First, we're going to move the head out of the way. Move it back out of the way a little bit more. So, as you can see, the machine is all finished here. Still quite dirty, and I'll clean that up. Let's come back over the screen here for a second and look at some stats. So, what we have here is, looks like the last one took 18 minutes. Cutting the profile was the longest at 40 minutes. And the dealer magnet, of course, is very quick. The marble cutouts was 24 minutes. And the numbers only took about 13 minutes. So that's quite nice on this new software I'm using. I'll give you all the stats for it. Okay, so what I want to show you here is that now these panels can be removed. If I come under here, I can start peeling up the pieces. piece on the side, and we take that right off. Let me clean this up a bit. All right, now I'll pull these panels off, and the last stage is doing the painting of the marbles. And what's nice about this, as you see, because the glue stuck these two pieces of painter's tape together, we could just peel these off. And the glue is behind it, so there's no glue on the part or on the board or on my bed. Hard to do one-handed, but you get the idea. There's the panel. Now, what's the next step is we're going to need to paint the marble home, these four. Add the magnet and screws on the side, peel off the mask, and then we're done. Okay, now we're in the final stages here. What I have to do now here is just paint each panel with the correct color. I'll start with the red one here. It's fairly simple to do. I just do a swirl in that cavity and right up on the edges. And that way, when I pull the mask off, it'll be nice and sharp edges. I'm using just a craft paint, and afterwards I'll spray it with a clear coat to try to maintain that color with time. So as you see, this goes on fairly easily. So let this dry. I usually let it dry overnight. Probably don't need to, but before I pull the mask off, I will do that. And then tomorrow I will put the magnets in and the screws, and that'll be it. After I pull the mask off, of course. These are nice vibrant colors on the white, which is nice. Okay, and that's that. That's the first one. All right, paint's dry. Now it's time to remove the mat. So this may be put on with multiple pieces, as this one was. So as we peel it off, you get to see the nice sharp lines. It does leave some back, so we have to take that and use a sharp blade to remove it. And leave nice sharp lines around the painted area. Now getting in here with a blade, a small blade, to remove these smaller bits. I wonder if I could zoom in a little bit on that. There we go. It's fairly simple. Just slide a small blade underneath. Trying to do it so it can be visible on the camera. and just pull this up. Leave a thumb on there. So this is a little time consuming, but this is the rewarding point. I'll show you one more, and then we could pause this. I put my thumb under it, just pull it off. There we go. All right, now that all the blue masking is off, I use a sponge, sanding sponge, just to get rid of any of the little bits from the picked up little hairs and things. So just a light sponge to remove those. And lightly on top where the numbers are, and the back of course, and just brush it. And we're ready for the next step. This next step is very simple. Just going to add a little drop of CA glue into the dealer magnet. Put the magnet in, slide it over, magnet in, slide it over. Let's watch that again. So, drop of CA glue in each one. Take these magnets that I have, a little roll here, slide it in, slide it over. That's it for that step. Okay, this next step is to insert the magnets into the side here. What I've done, I've actually 3D printed a little jig here. I slide this on to the end and make it flush with the inside. Now, I got ready for pilot holes. So stand down here, take the drill, which is marked for how deep I should go. Put it in there, hold it. And then the other hole. That generates the pilot holes for the magnet. Then they use the right size diameter drill bit. Let's change that. And just follow that pilot hole. Clean up the edge of this. I'm going to pause just to get my CA glue. All right, So my CA glue here, and I'm going to try to make sure the camera can see this. I just put a small drop of CA glue into the hole, just as reinforcement. The fit of the magnet's pretty tight, and then I'll push the magnet in, slide it over, magnet in, slide it over. I take it onto the desktop and push it in flush, so they come in flush. And that's all there is to that. Okay, the mating side goes with screws. We use the same fixture. Keep the inside to the inside, keep it flush. And we go ahead and drill the holes. Sorry if the camera's a little off. Where this differs is we change the bit to a countersunk for the screw head. Take off this, pick up the holes, and go in until we get the countersunk on each side. And we use these screws. And we make them flush. I don't use any CA glue on this side. If anybody's having an issue with them, they could always put a touch of super glue on there, which CA glue is. And then we'll get another one here just to show how that works. The reason we can't use two magnets facing each other is that the magnets try to self-align. So that's why you have to use a screw, and you can then use, put this upside down because it's falling off the table. There we go. There we go. They would try to self-align and they wouldn't line up. But there we go. One pair is completely done here. And that's it for the final step. Okay, here we are with the final product. Let's just join these up. And slide it up my fingers. And there's the final product.